Welcome, it's the Wicked One. We got a special video for you. We're going to go through all the defensive units and see which one is the best and how they're good and what situations they can be good in. We're going to do all our testing versus the Dentroid Guard. So we're going to start out with the Earth Elemental versus the Dentroid Guard.
Going over the Earth Elemental's abilities, we have Shadow Rock. When he dies, he summons 2 small Earth Elementals with a decent attack and a lot of HP. His next skill, Rock Solid. Earth Elemental's unit damage reduction increases to 70% and it doubles when he's against ranged. His third skill, when Earth Elemental is on the battlefield, increases magic resistance of all Earth spells by the friendly units for 20.1%. And reduces the magic resistance of Earth spells for all enemy units by 13.4%. And when Earth Elemental's units on the battlefield, reduce the enemy hero's initial mana by 14.9%. Then you have Earth Echo, which when an Earth Elemental or the small Earth Elementals are killed, they deal 52% damage to hostile units within a large range and stun them for 1.9 seconds. 1.6 seconds, my bad. And then we have the Dentroid Guard. I'll go over his abilities too. We have Bind. The Dentroid Guard unit deals slow to surrounding hostile units within a large range and reduce their attack speed by 19.5%. We have Crushing Roll. The Dentroid Guard's normal attack has a chance to create a shield for himself to absorb damage equal to 5.6% of max HP. The Dentroid Guard is immune to bleeding and its HP is increased by 36%. And when the Dentroid Guard is under attack, it will reflect damage equal to 2% of his attack and can attack or bleed for 6 seconds.
We have the Earth Elemental versus the Dentroid Guard. Let's see what happens. The Dentroid Guard is a little under-leveled for these orange units, but they're still pretty strong. And they're one model unit, so they shouldn't take too much from spells either. These first couple battles won't be great advice, just because this Dentroid Guard is so much under-leveled than the orange ones, but after we get out of the orange tier, it'll be a good representation of all the other units. Yeah, the Earth Elemental is just way too tanky, especially with this healer on. What kind of damage did they pull in? So, Forest Guardian did pretty good, but the Earth Elemental wasn't enough really to make him do anything. He's probably the most tanky unit in the game so far, so...
Next up, we got Dorf. Going over the Dorf's ability at the beginning of battle, Dorf units increase HP of all units within large range by 24%, and unit damage increased by 8%, defense increased by 8% lasts throughout the entire battle. He buffs the units around him, increases his their HP, damage, and defense. Smite has a chance to do 255% damage and stun the target. We have Cry of Rage, increase the Dwarf's HP, attack speed, and unit damage. And then Magical Resistance, it offers cover, increase the magic resistance by 30%, and for all units in it for 10 seconds.
Now we got the battle between the Dwarf and Dentroid. Per usual, due to the rank, the Dorf is taking the lead. But it's living... Dentroid Guard is living a little longer than it was versus Earth Elemental, so that's a good sign. He took pretty decent damage there.
The seed of revenge has been planted.
We'll fast forward the rest of that. These numbers are going to be a little inflated due to the Forest Guardian dying so fast, but yeah. The Dorf did really good there. They ended up actually killing the enemy unit.
Next up, we got the Demon. Demon units randomly deal 48,000 damage to one hostile unit, increases dodge, burn. Burn, gains 8.5% of his max HP for every dodge. Inferno Minion increases max health and healing. And then we have Fire Unit. Demon's dodge is increased by 240%. The dodge will increase by 40 for every Inferno unit on the battlefield.
Now we have the Demon versus the Dentroid Guard. Let it roll. The demon is definitely killing the Dendritic Guard pretty quick, and is keeping his health up. That's probably all we need to watch. Demon definitely getting his healing from dodges. Pretty simple there. Demon's one of the best tanks in the game, so he does good damage. Took a ton of damage there, but that's just because the baby is Zero Dragon. And he healed himself quite a bit.
Next up, we got the Skeleton versus the Dendritic Guard. The Skeleton's ability, we have Bone Shield. When he hits 50% health, he takes 50% less damage. For Bone Thorn, he reflects 100% damage taken. Turn to Stone, Skeleton's health is increased by 30%, defense by 13%, and his damage reduction by 10%. Then we have Ruby Cage, he becomes immune to bleed and takes less range damage.
Okay, now we have the Skeleton versus Dendritic Guard. This is a little bit better of a battle. They're both purple right now. Skeleton's doing decent. He's starting to drop though. He took a lot of hit from that marksman's AoE damage. That's all we need to really see. Skeleton's decent. He's not great at anything, but he ended up doing quite a bit. Yeah. Not very good, but good enough to beat one of the worst tanks in the game.
Next up, we got the Behemoth. Went over his skills, he has Wild Roar. He deals 65% attack to surrounding enemies and stuns them for 6 seconds. And reduces their attack and damage resistance. Then we have Sharp Claw Threshing. Behemoth does 18,000 damage to his target and makes him bleed for 6 seconds. It activates every 20 seconds. Rampage, Behemoth's damage resistance increased by 50% and the effect doubles when he's below 35%. When you end up having the hero Crag Hack to 3-star, all these... What kind of unit is this? Stronghold. There we are. All the Stronghold units that have this ability Rampage ends up going to 60% instead of 35, so this makes them a little bit better if you can get a Crag Hack up. And you have Infuriate, every hostile unit's death, restores 5% of this unit's max HP, and increases damage done by 10% for 10 seconds.
Now I got Behemoth versus Dendritic Guard. Through my previous testing, Behemoth is one of the best tanks in the game. I just don't have enough stars to make him usable on my team anymore. Alright. Let's see the results. Behemoth coming in with pretty high damage there. Yeah. So Behemoth, not a bad tank there. He's a single model, so he ended up having a large HP pool per the model, but does not have the extra model, so his total HP is going to be less than a 9 model unit.
Next up, we have Ogre. Going over the Ogre's abilities, we have Blood Pool. Ogre unit summons a blood pond to improve life drain for friendly units within a large area by 51%. The blood pond exists for 15 seconds. With Skin of the Sorcerer. Ogre's defense increased by 224, and HP regen increased by 1,920, and unit damage increased by 6.5%. This skill right here gives him passive regen and makes Ogre one of the best tanks just for that. Then we have Rampage. Again, with the crack hack goes 60%, but when he gets lower 35%, all friendly units' attack will increase by 17% for the entire battle. This ability makes Ogre extremely good on almost every team. We have Cure Poison. Increases the healing done for all units when Ogre's on the battlefield. So going over to Ogre. This is one of the reasons why he's probably the best support tank in the game, other than Dorf. Dorf is he's good for other melee units and stuff, but Ogre overall benefits everyone on the battlefield. For melee units, especially right next to Ogre, Blood Pond, they get 51% life drain. That's pretty awesome. Then we have Skin of the Sorcerer, increases defense and his regen, so makes him last longer and a little more tankier. It's very good. Then we have Rampage. This bonus applies to everyone, so those range units that already hit hard will hit harder. When Ogre drops below the threshold for his health, they get increased damage. Cure Poison, because why not? Increase the healing of all friendly units by 15%. That's another good reason to use Ogre. He, in my opinion, is one of the best tanks in the game.
Okay, now we got Ogre versus Dendritic Guard.
I walk with the seed of revenge.
This battle seems pretty even. See, Ogre, compared to the other tanks, isn't as tanky per unit, but his life drain will kind of counteract them if you have him live long enough. Now it's starting to come into effect quite a bit. So he's now outliving Dendritic Guard. He hasn't dropped her threshold for damage yet. I don't think that'll happen in this battle, but if it does, you'll see everyone's damage go up, and then the enemy side gets melted. Dendritic Guard's good.
Revenge has been planted.
Ogre ended up keep his healing up pretty good. Didn't end up dropping too low. Some pretty good healing there. Decent. It's not that high a damage actually. It's pretty low for a tank. Just for other units, it's extremely low, but damage taken's pretty good. But he's just the overall really good buffing unit. He's not mainly used just for like a solo lane tank. You want him behind some people behind him because he's not that strong by himself.
Next up, we got Centaur. Going over Centaur's ability, we have Battle Stomp. Centaur deals 24,000 damage while surrounding units and slows in 15 seconds. Then we have Strong. Centaur's HP increased by 45%, defense by 5.5%. We have Ferocity. Centaur's additional attacks increased by 450, not 4,000. Increases normal attack, making the target bleed for 6 seconds. Centaur's unit damage reduction increased by 5%, grants Centaur with 2% extra unit defense reduction for every defensive unit on the battlefield.
Alright, in the battle of Centaur versus Dendritic Guard. Definitely see here. Centaur is definitely beating the Dendritic Guard pretty quickly, actually. It's a lot quicker than I thought it would be. That's one of the fastest kill times. But Centaur is not the most tanky himself. He did deal a lot of damage, though. He ended up dying before the 1 minute mark. Not a great sign. Wow, his damage wasn't even that high on the leaderboards. But I think the bleed did a ton.
Next up, we got the Walking Dead. I've used this guy in the past. He's actually one of the best tanks, I believe. He deals a AoE around him that's passive, deals 3,000 damage, more against bleeding. Infectious, he slows the target, decreases their attack when they're inside the poison gas. Explosive, he deals 7,000 damage to hostile units and does more damage for bleeding. And then we have Barrage of Corpses. The Walking Dead's unit damage reduction increased by 10%. The enemy attacking the Walking Dead is in low morale, effect doubles. The Walking Dead benefits a lot from these status effects. See, he puts out, or he deals more versus bleeding there. And Infectious will slow the target, so you can make use of bleeding there, and then a slow. And we have the Bride of Corpses that makes use of the low morale.
Now we got the Walking Dead versus the Dendrite Guard. These units are pretty similar tier, leveling wise. This is a good example of what two even units will look like when one's good and one's not. The Dendrite Guard is absolutely getting destroyed. Walking Dead is one of the more tankier tanks, so he ends up getting out of there almost unscathed. Now I'll fast forward the battle. See the stats. So the Walking Dead actually killed them with 44 seconds left. That's extremely impressive. Dealing decent damage there. Taking pretty low damage for relatively compared to the other ones, but he just doesn't take the damage from the damage reductions. And he kills them fast enough with that AoE.
Next up, we got the Swordsman. Swordsman has Divine Protection. When Swordsmen are in battle, the first attack they grant you, Divine Protection, unit's damage reduction increased by 30% for 20 seconds. The Swordsman unit damage reduction increased by 10%. The effects are double if in high morale. And we got Double Strike. Swordsman has a 10% chance to attack the target twice when using a normal attack. The second attack causes 50% damage to the target. When fighting against slow targets, the trigger chance is 100%. We have Salvation. The Swordsman normal attack has a high chance of restoring HP, equal to 4% of its max HP.
Now we got the Swordsman versus Dendrite Guard. So far, it's starting out pretty good for the Swordsman. Not doing bad versus Dendrite Guard. He still has that damage reduction on, so it helps him out a lot. Now the damage reduction's off. And you see that, and now he's starting to get melted. It was just before the Dendrite Guard died, but that's where the Swordsman ends up getting pretty weak after the 30-second mark. Yep. He ended up dying. Not nearly as good as the Walking Dead there, but still not a bad tank. If you got a bunch of stars for him, he's not a bad unit to use.
Next up, we got the Imp. Could be one of the most unique tanks in the game. It is the only tank that has flying. And then his ultimate ability, when an Imp is down, is a 15% chance to revive that unit with full HP. So every time, he's an 9-man unit, every time one unit dies, that's a 15% chance to get revived. It technically could live forever, but it's not going to happen, just because the percent chance is so low. But then his next ability, the Imp's normal attack, has a chance to deal 225% damage to his target and may stun them for 2 seconds. We have Agility. Imp's dodge increases by 150 when Imp dodges enemy damage, has 20% rate to reduce the enemy hero's mana by 5. It scales a 5-second cooldown. That's an awesome ability. And then Imp's HP increased by 15% and healing increased by 30%.
Alright, now we got the Imp versus Dendrite Guard. But I wanted you guys all to hear this Imp's entrance. It's hard not to like a unit that has a good entrance. Let's see if Imp will end up reviving once. Be good to see. Imp had some revives there, but he ended up just getting melted by some spells in the AoEs. Imp goes down. For the Imp there, he's quite a bit lower rank, but if you compare him with the Swordsman, he's not nearly as tanky. He only get 1 revive off. Which, you know, that happens, but if you got more, if you got like 5 or 6, he would have been looking a lot better there, but that's the thing with Imp, he's so random.
And finally, last, we got Iron Golem. His first skill, Battle Resonance. The Iron Golem Creates a Shroud, increasing unit damage reduction for friendly units in it by 30% for 10 seconds. We have Strong, Iron Golem's HP is increased by 10%, unit damage reduction increased by 5%. Iron Body, Iron Golem is immune to bleeding. When the Iron Golem takes spell damage from a hero, his magic resistance increased by 100% for 8 seconds. This is pretty awesome to counter those burst heroes that use magic. And we have Magic Awakening. When an Iron Golem unit is enhanced by a friendly hero's secondary spell, restore 1.5% of his magic HP at the same time, unit damage reduction increased by 3%. Works throughout the entire battle up to 3 stacks. So he can get 3 stacks of damage reduction, then he also gets HP every time he gets a secondary spell, which was the best spell.
Last up, we have the Iron Golem versus Dendrite Guard. Iron Golem's not doing bad at all, especially being only blue. He's my lowest level tank. Well, there you have it. Iron Golem not doing terrible, but he's also not top tier. And the stats are pretty good damage taken, actually. What's the true damage taken on him? Okay. So he did end up mitigating almost 50% of the damage taken. That's pretty good. Alright, and finally going down the list of the top tanks, the best support tanks, and the top healing tanks. We have our top tank, Earth Elemental. He ends up dealing basically as much damage as or taking as much damage as the Walking Dead did, but he does have the spawns, which basically double his damage taken. And then we have Walking Dead, definitely second best. It did very well in the testing. We have Swordsman next. He's very low rank for me, but he ends up doing a lot better when you get him to higher ranks. Then we have Demon. He, with the healing and the dodges, he becomes almost necessary for most teams. Behemoth with the stuns, and he's very tanky with a single model unit. Iron Golem. He impressed me this time. I didn't think he was as good, but he definitely impressed me. He might be one to look into more, because he does have pretty good support abilities too. And we have Ogre. He isn't the most tanky tank, but he's definitely the best support tank. Dorf, another one of those support tanks, but it's not the most tanky by himself. Centaur kind of died a lot faster than I think most of the other tanks could have, so it kind of failed in that aspect, but it did end up dealing a slow damage around him, so he did help out the marksmans. And we have Skeleton. He basically failed this test overall. He definitely didn't seem to be that great as a tank. Might be better with some of the other buffs, but then you end up going in all Necro teams, so he better be good. We have Dendrite Guard. He really did terrible in this testing compared to the other ones. He was beat by tanks that were blue, so that's kind of sad to see. And then we have Imp. He didn't do well at all. He only got one revive off, and he died extremely quickly. But he is a flying tank, so that's always good to keep in consideration when making a team. And for our best supports, we have Ogre, Dwarf, Behemoth, Walking Dead, Dendrite Guard, Iron Golem, Earth Elemental, and Centaur. So with Ogre, he has all those buffs. He's best support by far. Dwarf ends up boosting everyone around him with health and damage, so definitely can make use of him with some teams. Behemoth has those pretty dependable stuns that they happen a lot, and he's tanky enough to not die, and he has the bleed too, so it's good to see. We have Walking Dead with all the slow, and then he makes use of the bleeding and the low morale, but he does the AoE damage, that's why I put him so high up on the list. And then we have Dendrite Guard, another one with slow. That's the only reason I put him there. We have the Iron Golem. He reduced the damage around him for all the units around him with that little bubble, but other than that, he's doesn't have much else going on for support. We have Earth Elemental. He has that stun when he dies, that's the only reason I put him there. We have Centaur with the slow from his ult, but he just seemed to underperform in every other aspect. I had to put him as slow on the list. And then we have the top healing. Definitely have Demon as number 1, Ogre is number 2. Demon, the more you have him dodge, the more he heals. So the higher you end up ranking him up, the better he's going to keep getting. With Ogre, with that passive healing buff he gives everyone, and he gives a regen on himself, And his ultimate ability ends up giving lifesteal for everyone around him. I definitely put him second there. Imp with the revive, the Swordsman, for every he has a chance in every attack to heal a little bit, which it doesn't happen very often, so that's why I put him that low on the list. And now, the moment you all have been waiting for. We're doing a tank versus tank battle, 6v6. Try to balance the teams evenly. Let's see what happens. It's pretty even right now. Ooh, looks like Red's taking the lead. Red does have Demon, so Demon looks like he's doing some work. Yeah, Behemoth holding the line there, doing some stuns. They might actually run out of time. This is pretty funny.
The seed of revenge has been planted. I run with the forest.
Ooh, Behemoth went down in the last couple seconds. Oh, there you have it, the tank versus tank battle. Behemoth dealing the most damage on the blue team. Well, the Demon, by far, deals most damage on the red team. Orthomontals, actually some decent damage, that's surprising. Dorf's up there too. Makes sense because those are all the higher ranked units. Skeleton's up there, that's good. That's good to see for him. Ogre, being a buff character, does pretty well. Walking Dead died kind of early, but he's still doing some pretty good damage there. Centaur, living the whole time, dealing just as much damage as Walking Dead. Swordsman died pretty early also. Detroit Guardian lived the whole time, but he didn't do much at all. And then we have Iron Golem, died the earliest on the blue team, but he didn't get very much done. And then on the red team, the armed skeletons outperform the imp. So I guess that's how you have it. The imp is not worth it.